अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स। बेटा आज हम खेलने लगे हैं प्रेल्यूड एज एन एपिक पोएम। बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ लेते हैं पहले। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। यहाँ पे देखिए प्रेल्यूड एज एन एपिक पोएम। The prelude is the greatest long poem in our language after Paradise Lost, says one critic. ठीक है, greatest लॉन्ग पोएम थी इन आवर लैंग्वेज। पैराडाइज लॉस्ट के बाद अगर कोई लॉन्ग पोएम है तो वो द प्रिल्यूड है। और इसके कितने हमने देखा था, कितनी बुक्स थी? 14 बुक्स थी। Says one critic, its comparison with the great 17th century epic is some respects a happy one since Milton was after Coleridge Wordsworth's greatest idol। और इसका जो है कंपैरिजन था विद ग्रेट 17th सेंचुरी एपिक इन सम रेस्पेक्ट्स, क्योंकि मिल्टन वॉज आफ्टर कॉलरिज वर्ड्सवर्थ ग्रेटेस्ट आइडल। कॉलरिज के बाद अगर उसका वर्ड्सवर्थ का कोई ग्रेटेस्ट आइडल था वो मिल्टन था। द प्रिल्यूड में बी क्लास्ड The prelude may be classed somewhat loosely as an epic. It does not satisfy all the traditional qualification of the genre. The epic is customarily defined as long narrative poem which recounts heroic actions, commonly legendary or historical, and usually one principle of hero from whence it deserves its unity. The prelude takes its unity from the fact that the central hero is its author. The poem is written in the blank verse, unrhymed lines or iambic pentameter with certain permissible substitutions of trochees and anapes to relieve the monotony of iambic foot, and with total disregard of the stanza form. In the middle of the 18th century, there was an eclipse of the interest in the rhymed heroic couplet. A revival of interest in Milton led to the establishment of Miltonic blank verse as the standard medium for lengthy philosophical और डायडेक्टिक पोइटिकल वर्क्स। और रिवाइवल ऑफ इंटरेस्ट जो था मिल्टन के अंदर, वो जो है वो लेड किया टू द एस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ मिल्टोनिक ब्लैंक वर्स, कि इसने एक एस्टेब्लिश की प्रेल्यूड के अंदर एक मिल्टोनिक ब्लैंक वर्स एज द स्टैंडर्ड मीडियम फॉर लेंथी फिलोसॉफिकल और डायडेक्टिक पोएटिक वर्क। ब्लैंक वर्स किसे कहते हैं? जब राइमिक पैटर्न जो है सेम नहीं होता, एंड ऑफ राइमिंग साउंड जो है वो सेम नहीं होती, तो उसको हम ब्लैंक वर्स कहते हैं। और अगर राइमिक साउंड जो है एंडिंग साउंड सेम हो तो हम उसको हीरोइक कॉपलेट कहते हैं। The resulting form came to be called the literary epic as opposed to heroic and folk epic. To this type, Wordsworth, with his unconventional ideas of diction, brought a natural and conversational tone. The general procedure in the prelude is to record an experience from the poet's past and then to examine its philosophical and psychological significance and relate it to nature and society at large. Unfortunately, this results in a certain definite unevenness in the development of the narrative. At times, particularly in the later half of the work, the narrative dries up altogether and the reader must pick his way through a water of disconnected disquisition, frequently verbose, diffuse, pathetic. The verse is carried by those rare moments when it flashes fire or reaches a resounding note or a note of rich poetic song. The unwavering strength and unity of purpose which underlie it also help it to soar. Only a mere fraction of the whole poem may be said to be great, but it is this fraction that has continued to secure it a place high in English literature. Another drawback of the verse is its ballotant repetition। ठीक है, एक और जो ड्रॉबैक है वो क्या है? इसकी बैलेटेंट रिपीटेशन है। Wordsworth will describe an intellectual experience again and again with only minor variation। और वर्ड्सवर्थ ने रिपीटेशन करके बार बार एक ही एक्सपीरियंस को बार बार बताया है विद माइनर वेरिएशंस के साथ उसने जो है रिपीटेशन एक्सपीरियंस को बार बार बताया। मच ऑफ दिस रिपीटेशन मे बी ड्यू टू द poet's episodic effort to show his shifting point of view in connection with certain basic ideas। और क्या किया उसने? उसकी रिपीटेशन शायद पोइट की एपिसोडिक एफर्ट्स है ताकि वो व्यू पॉइंट बता सके या शिफ्टिंग व्यू पॉइंट बता सके in connection with certain basic idea. Most of imagery as well as the diction reflect the natural environment, especially the English countryside, and manages to capture much of the wildness and beauty of that terrain. The influence of English character may be traced in many of the ideas behind the poem. Just as Wordsworth never got far or was long from his native regions physically, so they continue to color his emotional reaction throughout his life. It is doubtful that he would have created an inimitable philosophy of nature had he been reared in London slums. In his life, his mental outlook swung from youthful radicalism to ultra conservatism. Politically, the fierce independence of character of poet admired in the yeoman of North Country came to be symbolized by French patriot. Later, he felt that the conservative British institutes were the bulwark of true freedom. बाद में उसको पता चला कि ये जो कंजर्वेटिव ब्रिटिश इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं ये बल्क वर्क हैं ऑफ ट्रू फ्रीडम के आर्टिस्टिकली एंड रिलीजियसली ही फाउंड यूथफुल इंस्पिरेशन इन हिल्स एंड वैलीज ऑफ सॉरी वेल्स ऑफ लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट ठीक है वो लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट इसको लेक पोइट भी कहा जाता था ना क्योंकि ये जिस जगह पे रहता था उसको लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट कहा जाता था और आर्टिस्टिकली और रिलीजियसली देखा जाए तो ही फाउंड यूथफुल इंस्पिरेशन इन हिल्स एंड वैलीज ऑफ लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट ठीक है तो ये जो है एक यूथफुल इंस्पिरेशन थी उसकी ऑन द हिल्स ऑफ लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट ही रिस्पॉन्ड टू देम with his simple ballads and a joyous mysticism. In maturity, it was the high Anglican church tradition to which he turned for a personal faith and as a source for many of his later poetical ideas. Of course, we do the very end we and do we feel the impending we do not witness the entire spectrum of the prelude. The poem is basically democratic in spirit only at the very end, so we feel the impending onset of the conversative. The work seems deceptively free of learned allusions, but the reader is sure to find many obscure classical references. In addition, there are quite a few local place names which are different to trace. The poem employs symbols in a somewhat unsophisticated way so that language and feeling tend to be undistinguishable. अच्छा जी द वर्क सीम डिसेप्टिवली फ्री ऑफ लर्नड एल्यूजन ठीक है वर्क जो है वो फ्री ऑफ लर्नड एल्यूशन था बट द रीडर इज श्योर टू फाइंड मैनी ऑब्सक्योर क्लासिकल रेफरेंसेस in addition there are quite a few local place names which are difficult to trace the poem employs symbols in somewhat unsophisticated way to that language and feeling tend to be undistinguishable when Wordsworth puts aside his tendencies to pamphleteers, mood and form tend to merge in highest harmony. The words perfectly evoke feeling. In the best instances, there is such mastery of the medium that the true goal of poetry is achieved. अब जो है यहाँ पे अगर देखा जाए तो वर्ड्सवर्थ ने अपनी तमाम जो टेंडेंसीज थी वो टू पैम्फलेटियर उसने ये पैम्फलेटियर मूड एंड फॉर्म को छोड़ के उसने क्या किया सब चीज़ों को मर्ज कर दिया इन हाईएस्ट हार्मनी यानी कि पहले ये पैम्फलेटियर था लेकिन बाद में इसने मूड एंड फॉर्म को मर्ज कर दिया हाईएस्ट हार्मनी में और जो वर्ड्स हैं वो परफेक्टली अवोक करने लगे फीलिंग्स को In the best instances, there is such mastery of medium that true goal of poetry is achieved. There is so perfect a communication of experience that the language as a vehicle for is forgotten. From this harmony, a great poetic power emerges with the very simplest of words and images. Wordsworth create the impression of terrible intensity. For many readers, the aesthetic problem may be solved by adopting the fragmentary approach of picking favorite passages singular for their strength or beauty. But the reputation of the prelude does not stand or fall as measured against the canon of uninterrupted beauty alone. Fortunately, it is the thematic framework behind the poem that holds the greatest lasting reward for the reader. Fortunately जो है ये एक thematic framework था behind the poem जो कि hold करता है greatest lasting reward for the reader. The outstanding virtue of prelude is an imaginative interpretation of nature. Wordsworth Nature forms a cosmic order of which the material world is one manifestation and the moral world is another. वर्ड्सवर्थ के ख्याल में नेचर जो है वो एक कॉस्मिक ऑर्डर है जिसमें मटेरियल वर्ल्ड जो है एक यानी कि इस कॉस्मिक ऑर्डर की एक जो मैनिफेस्टेशन है वो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड है और दूसरी जो है वो मोरल वर्ल्ड है. Usually, in a such view, either mind or matter much have the upper hand. From the fanciful mechanic interpretation of nature in his youth, he moved in maturity to vitalist view in which mind transcends the physical world and which a universal spirit provided the ultimate motivation for all things, as exemplified in universal and natural law. This is as close as he come to build a philosophical system, and it is just think this long and painful transition that is related in prelude. What Virgil offers is not a great philosophical system. He presents an emancipatory attitude towards life and towards art. He forever examines experience. Nothing in the world is so trivial or commonplace that it cannot be stimulus for the mind. No thought, no matter how pedestrian or contemptuous it may at first seem, is to be excluded from the realm of the poetry.